All right, so this is day 6, function operations and composition. And so function operations, what are operations? Can anybody tell me an operation in math? It's like the first thing you learn in math. Adding. Adding is an operation. What's another operation? What's another operation? If adding is one, what's another one? Right. Subtracting. Okay. What's probably the 4 most basic? We've got add, subtract, multiply, divide. That's what we're going to be doing today. And so when it talks about function operations, we can add, we can subtract, we can multiply, or we could divide functions. So for these problems, it tells you f of x and it gives you a function. G of x, it gives you a function. H of x, and it gives you a function. And then it wants us to find the following. The first thing that we need to know is what it means to add functions. And to add functions, and I'm going to fill this in right up here at the top. When we add, it is the same thing as f of x plus g of x. When we subtract, it's f of x minus g of x. When we multiply, it is f of x times g of x. And for that one, we can put a note that usually for that one, we use a box. And then when we're dividing, it is f of x over g of x. And you can leave it. We're not going to do division. So first thing I'm going to do is jot down what these mean. If it says f plus g of x, then it just means f of x plus g of x. So for this one, I'm going to look at, it says f of x is x squared minus 2x. So I'm going to write that down. Actually, just so that you can follow along with me, I'll change the colors. So I'll make this one green just so you can see what I'm doing. So you don't have to write it in different colors. I'm just showing you what they look like. So I have x squared minus 2x plus my g of x function, which is 3x minus 4. So this was f of x plus g of x. All I have to do now is combine like terms. So when I look through here, I only have 1x squared. I have 2x terms, so I can put these things together and rewrite it, and I'm done. So I have 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2 will give me 1. And that's it. So all I had to do was look to combine like terms. Any questions over number 1? Or sorry, the first one. The second one, we're going to set it up the same way. The only thing we have to do is be careful when we subtract. So when we subtract, I'm still going to have, this will be f of x minus h of x. Again, I'll put it in a different color so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to write down my f of x. F of x is x squared minus 2x minus my h of x. Because I'm subtracting, I have to put it in parentheses. H of x is negative 2x squared plus 1. Anytime that you are subtracting, and this is like a bonus question on one of the quiz or the test, I have to distribute in the negative to both pieces, so it's going to change the sign. Hello. So I've got to distribute this into both pieces and rewrite it all. So I get x squared minus 2x. Negative times a negative is going to be a plus 2x squared minus 1. And now I can combine like terms. So it looks like that I can put these x squared terms together, and that's the only thing that I can put together. So I have 2, and then I have 1 here. So 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. Adding and subtracting. How do you feel about adding and subtracting? How do you feel about adding and subtracting so far? Thanks. Okay, adding and subtracting, not so bad. That's what my class got last class. Hopefully y'all can do better than that.
That's the high. Like,
That's what they got. I mean, they've gotten better than that before, but it wasn't that bad. It was like on the very last round, he misspelled some stuff.
We ain't never got first in this class. But like the beginning of the year.
For a minute.
They only got like for a lot of the days and then they took it away.
Never again.
I don't even think I had this period back in the beginning of the year. I think I had it for a different period.
Yeah. Name a place in a place which people remember going to for the first time. Place.
Beach, school. Work. I mean,
Where do you remember going for the first time? We put that.
The dentist. Skydiving.
Wedding.
I think that could be a good one.
Watch it be something stupid. Sorry,
Oh,
my God.
I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't thinking that. Okay, we're gonna do some more. First thing that we have to do is rewrite these. So when we rewrite them, what is this? Oh, somebody was typing at my desk for Family Feud last period and he left something sticky. Okay, first thing that we have to do is jot down what this is. This is going to be f of x times g of x. And we're going to use a box. So looking at these, f of x is x squared minus 2x. And then g of x is 3x minus 4. Using a box as we multiply these together, 3 times 1 will be 3, and then it will be x to the third. This will be negative 6x squared. Negative 4x squared. And then positive 8x. A box is nice because we will be able to combine like terms diagonally. And that equals 3x to the third. Negative 6 and minus 4 gives me negative 10x squared plus 8. Okay, for the next one, who thinks division just seems like it's going to be difficult? Okay, some of you are being honest. Guess what? Division is easy. The division one is easy. It's probably the easiest one of all because we're not going to simplify it. We're just going to put it in there and leave it. And that's it. So for the division one, we've got, first we're going to define it as h of x divided by f of x. And so all we're going to do is say, I don't remember what h of x is. H of x is negative 2x plus 1. And then f of x is x squared minus 2x. And we're going to call it a day. We're not going to divide. Done. The next two problems, all we're going to do instead of putting, just write it and leave it. Write it and box it. That's why I said the division one seems like it's going to be difficult. It's not. Just rewrite it and box it and you're done. If we were in pre-AP, we might divide them, but we're not, so we're not. The next problem for these, we're going to write them out, but it will be h of negative 2 minus g of negative 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write these out. And instead of x, I'm going to put a little negative 2 there. That's it. So I have h of x, which is negative 2 plus 1. And then I have minus, and then I have the g of x. G of x is 3x minus 4. So the 2, I'm going to go plug in the two places where I see x. Instead of x, it's going to be negative 2. So do you see any x's anywhere in here? No, so we're going to get a number answer. It will be easy. And if you struggle with this and you mess it up, use a calculator. But anyways, we've got negative 2 times negative 2, so that will be positive 4 plus 1. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to figure out what's in parentheses. So 3 times negative 2 will be negative 6 minus 4. Okay, now I'm going to keep evaluating. 4 plus 1, that is 5. Minus -6 minus 4, that's -10. All right, this is negative, negative. So I know that negative times a negative, that's going to make it a positive. What's 5 plus 10? Okay, I did that with my super math skills. But again, if you struggle with that, use a calculator. Just type it in there exactly the way you see it. Make sure you use parentheses. This one, it's dividing, but guess what? We can't actually figure out this answer because it's going to be just numbers. So I'm going to do the same thing that I'm going to write f of x and g of x, but I'm going to leave a space where the x's go. So in the numerator, I have f of x. So that's x squared minus 2 times x. And then the g of x is 3x minus 4. So all I did was rewrite those functions, but instead of writing x, I laid myself a space. And all I'm going to do is put 1 in there. And I can evaluate this the same. You can use a calculator or you can evaluate it. In the top, I have 1 times 1. What's 1 times 1? 1. Minus 2 times 1, which is 2. In the bottom, I have 3 times 1, which is 3. Minus 4. I can keep going. What's 1 minus 2? Bless you. -1. What's 3 minus 4? Let's see. -1. What's anything over itself? 1. Bless you. So anytime there's a number here, you get a number answer. If it's an X, you'll get X's in the answer. But if there's a number here, you get a 1 number answer. And again, you don't have to be good at it. You can use a calculator. So that is pretty much the whole front side of the notes. Am I correct? Good.
That was the division problem. We just got an answer for it. So we only have to.
So if it has an X in it, we're just leaving it. Put a box around it. But anytime you have a number there, give me a number answer. And you can type it in the calculator. These you can't type in the calculator and have it simplify. So anytime there is a number for the X, you give me a number answer. If there is a number for the X, you give me a number answer. And you'll know the difference because guess what? All the assessments are multiple choice, so you'll remember. Is anybody still copying? Yep. We are done with the front. Okay. Round 2. Name some place you might hear the word strike. Good. Oh, that's a protest. That's okay. That's okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is give you a 10-minute timer. So go spend 10 minutes and get those problems on the homework. 10 minutes. You know you don't want another 0 for the homework. So go look at that homework. Let's see. You can do anything on the front side. Anything. You can do anything on the front side. Yep. So we're adding them. Got 8 minus 2x plus x. There's nothing that can be put together except for these two. Please check with the people in your group. You got 10 minutes. All right. So these, we're going to write it the same way, but you need to make sure that you'll have f of x. And this is of 2. So then you'll have your other one right here. So this one, you'll have your first function minus your second function. And so once you do that, you have to distribute the negative. So whatever sign is in here will change to opposite.
I'm only distributing by just the sign.
It just means every sign will be opposite.
Every sign for G.
Yes. Mhm.
That would be 7 minus.
So 7, it'd be plus x and plus 7. Because both signs are going to change. So
This is already a 7.
don't change it first. So put it in here exactly the way you see it. Then the next line you change it.
Okay.
We're going to continue. Do you have a question? Yeah, is it to the third and to the first?
Yeah.
When they multiply, it becomes x to the fourth, yes. That's okay. All right, let's move on. We're on to the back of the notes. So I'd like to invite everybody to put their phone away so that we can learn the back of the notes. This is the last bit of content that we're learning before we take our test before spring break. On the back, composition of functions. So this is different than multiply. See how it's like a little tiny little O? We say that as f of g of x. So I'm going to write that down. We say it as f of g of x. That's how you read this. F of g of x. And what that looks like is that you write the f and then the g of x will go inside. Looks like that. So this means that everywhere that we have an x, we're going to plug in g of x. So for this one, that looks like f of g of x. So the g goes on the inside. The next one, you write it the opposite direction. I'm going to change these and I'm going to write them in color for you. I'll write them in orange. And then for the last one, we're going to write g of, and on the inside, we're going to do f of 3. -3. I'm going to rewrite the first one for you, so you can easily see what I'm doing. So when I write these functions, I'm going to first write the outside function. So I'm going to write the f function, and there's one x in it. And when I write it, I'm going to leave myself blank. So I'm going to say 2, leave myself a blank, squared minus 1. Inside it, I'm going to write the g function. The g function is x plus 3. I'm not going to have you multiply this out at this time, but you should be able to multiply this out. For this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to write the g function. So the g function is x plus 3. And in that space for the x, I'm going to put the f function. So all I'm doing is rewriting it and plugging in. If you're not following along, it's going to be really hard to do well on this next assessment. So all I'm doing is taking one function and plugging it into the other one. I'm going to do the same first step for this one, the g function. The g function is 2x squared minus 1. And then inside of it, I'm going to write f of -3. So this will be -3 plus 3. We're going to simplify these two. So for this one, there's no reason that I have parentheses. I could rewrite all of it. It turns into 2x squared minus 1 plus 3. I can put these two numbers together. 3 minus 1 is 2. So it's the same thing as 2x squared plus 2. For this one, what's -3 plus 3? Did I do it backwards? Which one? Oh, I did them completely backwards, huh? Huh. I was wondering why we were getting 0. I'm glad I have you guys paying attention. So yeah, I'm going to write the g function. The g function is a nice x plus 3. I hope other people noticed. And inside my x, I'm going to plug in the orange one. So f of -3. My f function is here. I got that completely backwards, friends. So it's 2. And inside the x, I'm going to put -3 squared minus 1.
So what's the difference between this and multiplication?
This? You're not multiplying. This one is called a composition. So a composition means you take one and you put it inside of the other. So it is different than multiply. At this point, do we have any x's? Right here. Do I have any x's? So what could I do? I could put it in the calculator. We're going to evaluate it by hand, but you could put it in the calculator. Certainly, if you struggle with that, don't miss something on an assessment because you could have used a calculator. So to evaluate this one, what's -3 times -3? -3 times -3. Positive 9. What's 9 times 2? 18. So this first part becomes 18. So we've got 18 minus 1 plus 3. We're just doing it bit by bit. What's 18 minus 1? 17. What's 17 plus 3? What? 20. Beautiful. Nope, number 1 has an answer. You can evaluate it further, but we're not going to. You can leave it like that. You can FOIL this out. You can multiply x times 3 and x times 3. Is anybody still copying these? Okay. Name something you'd hate to find out was living in the walls of your house. What? I think so. I think that was the one we didn't get. A mole? Mold. Oh, mold. One more.
Aliens.
I don't think that was the answer.
A snake.
Very good. We're on to the fast money round and then we're done. Name something you hope never crashes into your home. Yeah, I agree. Name something you won't clean until it looks dirty. Name something you'd find at the center of fancy chocolates. Ah, okay, it auto-corrected. Name something a person might leave in their pocket that goes through the laundry. Name something people have a hard time controlling. I think people or dogs. See how we did. Ah, controlling your temper. Let's see, 1568. Oh! I feel like every time we are just getting a little better. We did improve. Didn't we change it last time?
No. Not enough.
Not enough, not enough. Let's see, 1573. Still growth. We're still making growth. It's the end of the day. We're all tired. All right, we are almost done with our notes for today. We've only got a little bit more. So let's go to the last few problems. The last few problems are based off of a graph. And so these I really have to have you guys focus and pay attention because you're going to look away and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, what happened? How did she get those numbers? So the first step in doing all of these is you have to rewrite it. And so I'm going to write that down right here. You have to rewrite it. You have to rewrite these. So your first step, and this is a very important one, half the battle is to rewrite. So what this means is just G of 2. We're going to go through and we're going to rewrite all of them first because that's half the battle is rewriting. This one is G of 0 minus F of 0. What operation is this when they're written together? Multiple. Very good. multiplication. So g of -3 times f of -3. What's this one? Looks an awful lot like this one. What's this one going to be? Very good, f of 2. Okay, what operation is this? Divide. So we just have f of 2 divided by g of 2. First step, we've got to rewrite these. The next one, and how do we say this? G of f of 7. Good job. Yeah. So it's g of f of 7. What we're going to do now is use the graphs to find these numbers. And so remember that that value is representing an x value. So these are like max. These are like a max. And we have to do it step by step. So finding just one value is not difficult. So g of 2. First, I have to find the g graph. I've got an f graph and a g graph. So it only cares about this graph. And I'm going to go find when x is 2. Okay, x is 2. So I need to go figure out where is the graph at 2. So at 2, I follow down, the graph is right here. The value is -6. The answer to this one is -6. That's it. That's how you answer these. That's it. -6 equals -6. See if you can figure out this one on your own. This is f of 2. So you're going to go to the f graph. Where is it at 2? And for this graph, don't be too petty. It's not exact, but. So where do you think it is at 2 for the f graph? So at 2, you come over here to 2 and you follow the graph up. Where do you think that it is? Looks like to me it's at, we're going to say it's right here. So where is that? I would say 3. For these, g of 0, we have to do it step by step. For the g graph, at 0, we have to go all the way down here. Where's the graph? Yep, -5. And it's going to be minus my f graph. At 0, where's my graph? 3. What's -5 minus 3? -8, done. For this one, multiplying. Let's go find g of -3. So I go to my g graph. I'm going to go over to -3, and where's my graph? -3. For my f graph, f of -3, when I go to -3, where's my graph? 0. What's anything times 0? 0. For this one, we already know f of 2 because we just figured it out right there. We said that it's 3. We also know what g of 2 is because we figured it out right here. It's -6. What is 3 over 6 reduced to? So we get -1/2. For the composition, we've got to work from the inside out. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what is f of 7. So on my f graph, I'm going to go all the way over to 7. And where's my graph? 2. So then this becomes G of 2, which we already answered first thing. What's G of 2? 6, -6. You are done. I would go and do the homework problems with the graphs first, because those